Alright, so I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts, but here I am. My life pretty much imploded in the most humiliating soap opera level way, and I need to get it all out. I'm John, 38, a financial advisor. My wife Abby, 36, has been my rock for 12 years, or so I thought. She's always been obsessed with movies, especially anything starring Brad Talbot. You know, one of those charming Hollywood A-listers who plays the rugged yet sensitive type in every role. She's had posters of him since she was a teenager, still watches all his interviews, and even follows his personal chef on Instagram. Yeah, it was that level of fandom. But I never thought much of it. Harmless, right? Boy, was I wrong. A few months ago, Abby convinced me to go to this exclusive nightclub in LA. Not really my scene, I'm more of a chill at home with a beer and watch the game kind of guy, but she was excited, so I said sure. I figured it would be a fun night out. The moment we walked in, I noticed Abby was acting different. She was way too giggly, kept checking her phone, fixing her hair every 5 minutes. Then I saw him. Brad Talbot in the flesh. Before I could even process it, Abby beelined for him. No hesitation. No looking back at me. Just full speed ahead like a fangirl on autopilot. Now, I get it, celebrities have that effect on people. But she wasn't just saying hi. She was all over him. Laughing too hard at his jokes. Touching his arm. Letting him pull her in close for a dance. Not just one song, 3 songs. While I stood there like a complete idiot. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was just excitement. Maybe she'd come back and laugh it off. But she didn't. I walked up to them, ready to pull her aside and remind her that, oh yeah, she's married, but she barely even acknowledged me. Just brushed me off with a, babe, don't be weird. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I don't know what snapped in me, but I suddenly felt cold all over. Something wasn't right. I excused myself and went to the bar, watching from a distance. She kept whispering in his ear, he kept pulling her closer, and then, she grabbed his hand and led him toward the VIP section. That was it. The moment I knew. I followed them, heart pounding. A bouncer blocked me, saying the area was for invited guests only. When I told him my wife was in there, he barely even looked at me before shaking his head. I stood there, frozen. Watching the woman I loved disappear behind a curtain, with a man she had idolized her entire life. And just like that, my marriage was over. I stood there like a fool, my hands clenched into fists, my mind racing. The bouncer wasn't budging, and neither was my pride. So I stepped back, found a quiet corner and just waited. Minutes felt like hours. My drink sat untouched on the table in front of me. I kept checking my phone, but there were no texts from Abby. Not even a hey, I'll be right back or don't worry, babe. Nothing. That silence? It told me everything. After about 40 minutes, yes, 40, I saw her step out from behind that VIP curtain. Her hair was a little messy. Her makeup slightly smudged. And she had this glow about her, like she'd just had the best time of her life. She barely even scanned the room before heading straight to the restroom. Now, I'm not a paranoid guy. I'm not the type to jump to conclusions. But let's be real, you reading this already know what was happening, just like I did in that moment. I got up, walked over to the restroom area, and waited for her to come out. When she finally did, she gasped like she hadn't expected me to still be there. "Oh, babe. You're still here," she said, forcing a nervous little laugh. I stared at her. "Yeah, I'm still here. Where have you been?" She hesitated for a second. "Oh, I was just talking to Brad about movies and stuff. You wouldn't believe how cool he is. He gave me his number, as friends of course." That last part. She blurted it out way too quickly. Like she already knew how guilty it sounded. I narrowed my eyes. For 40 minutes. You've been talking for 40 minutes. She rolled her eyes, suddenly defensive. Oh my God, John. Yes. It was just a conversation. You're acting crazy right now. Crazy. Crazy. That word burned in my chest. Right, I muttered. Then let me see your phone. Boom. That was it. That was the moment her entire demeanor shifted. She clutched her purse tighter. Are you serious right now? I nodded. Yeah. Unlock your phone and let me see. She scoffed. Wow. I can't believe you don't trust me. I can't even talk to a celebrity without you freaking out. I held my ground. If it was just talking, then you have nothing to hide. She bit her lip. Looked away. Then slowly she pulled out her phone and turned it off. My heart sank. Oh great, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. That's totally normal. Just randomly shutting off your phone at 1 a.m. She sighed dramatically. You know what? I don't have to put up with this. You're ruining a great night. And with that she stormed out of the club. I didn't even follow her. I just stood there watching her disappear into the night, my whole world tilting sideways. I knew that my marriage had just crossed a line it could never come back from. And the worst part? This was just the beginning. I didn't chase after her. I didn't even move for a few minutes. I just stood there, staring at the door she had walked out of, feeling like my entire reality had just been rewritten. When I finally left the club, I expected to find Abby outside, maybe waiting for an Uber. But no, she was gone. No text. No call. Just gone. I got in my car and drove home, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. When I pulled into the driveway, her car was already there. Lights off. Like she had sprinted inside just to avoid facing me. I walked in and there she was, on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just spent 40 minutes in a VIP room with her favorite actor. Like she hadn't walked out on me when I asked to see her phone. She glanced up and sighed. Oh good, you're home. Can we not do this right now? I'm exhausted. I closed the door behind me. Unlock your phone. She rolled her eyes. John, seriously? You're still on this? I stepped closer. Yeah. I am. She let out this fake little laugh. Oh my God. Fine. She turned on her phone, tapped her passcode and handed it to me. I'll admit, for a second I doubted myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she really had just been talking. But the second I opened her messages? Nothing. Nothing at all. Her entire text thread with Brad Talbot was gone. I looked at her and she gave me this smug little smile. See? Nothing to hide. I clenched my jaw. Did you delete them? She scoffed. Are you serious right now? Wow, John. You are so insecure. I wasn't about to let her spin this on me. You were in there for 40 minutes, I said. And the second I asked to see your phone, you turn it off. And now the messages are gone. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Her face twitched just a little. A flicker of panic before she masked it with fake anger. Oh my God, John. This is crazy. I didn't delete anything. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe he deleted them. Why are you acting like I did something wrong? We talked. That's it. I just stared at her. I wasn't buying it. Not for a second. But what could I do? She had already covered her tracks. She knew it. I knew it. So I just nodded. All right. She blinked. Wait, that's it. I shrugged. Sure. You're right. I'm overreacting. Her whole body relaxed. Finally. She got up and stretched. I'm gonna take a shower. And that was the moment I decided, if she wanted to play dirty, so could I. She thought she had one. That she had gaslit me into silence. But she had no idea what was coming. I let her think she had one. That I had backed down. That I wasn't suspicious anymore. But inside, I was already planning my next move. Abby went to take a shower, and the moment I heard the water running, I grabbed her laptop from the desk. If she had deleted their texts, maybe there was something else she forgot to erase. I opened her email. Nothing suspicious. Checked her social media DMs. Nothing. Then I saw it. Her recently deleted messages. She must have thought she covered her tracks, but she forgot one thing. Deleted texts stay in the recently deleted folder for 30 days. And there it was. A message from Brad Talbot. Tonight was amazing. You're even sexier in person. Let's meet up again soon. I'll send details. I felt my stomach drop. I scrolled up, heart pounding. More messages. Flirty. Suggestive. Her telling him how much she had always dreamed of meeting him. How she couldn't believe this was real. How she wanted more. I clicked on the message thread, ready to take screenshots. And then I heard the water shut off. Crap. I quickly closed the laptop, put it back exactly where it was and sat on the couch trying to act normal. My heart was racing but I forced myself to breathe. A few minutes later, Abby walked out of the bathroom in her robe, towel drying her hair. You're still up. I looked at her, feeling like I was staring at a complete stranger. Yeah. Couldn't sleep. She sat down next to me, acting all casual. Listen, I don't want us to fight over tonight. It was nothing, okay? Just a little fun moment. A fun moment. Right. I forced a small smile. Yeah. You're right. She beamed, relieved. Good. I love you, babe. I almost laughed. Love. Love. This woman just threw away 12 years of marriage like it was nothing. But fine. If she wanted to lie to my face, I'd let her. Because now, I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I was certain. And I was going to get the full truth, one way or another. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message. Tonight was amazing. You're even sexier in person. It played over and over in my head like some sick joke. By the time morning came, I had already made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. No, that would be too easy for her. She'd just lie, twist things around, make me look crazy. I needed proof, the kind she couldn't deny. So I played dumb. When Abby woke up, she was in an annoyingly good mood. Humming while she made coffee, smiling at me like nothing had happened. Morning, babe. She chirped. You okay? I forced a yawn, stretching. Yeah, just tired. You? She smirked. A little sore from all that dancing last night. I clenched my jaw. Dancing? Sure. I nodded, pretending to sip my coffee. So, are you gonna text Brad today? She froze for half a second. A normal person wouldn't have noticed. But I did. Then she laughed too loudly. What? Why would I text him? That was just a fun celebrity moment. I'm not like his friend or something. I tilted my head. I thought you said he gave you his number. Another pause. Just a flicker of hesitation before she shrugged. I mean, yeah, but I'm not actually gonna use it. Liar. Oh, okay. I smiled. Just curious. She nodded, looking a little uncomfortable now. Well, I have a ton of errands to run today. Gotta return some stuff at the mall, might grab lunch with Emily. Emily, her best friend. Or at least, the friend she used as an alibi whenever she needed one. I pretended not to care. Sounds fun. She finished her coffee, kissed me on the cheek and left. The second the door shut behind her, I grabbed my phone and called my buddy Mark. Mark worked in cybersecurity. And today, I needed a little tech support. The plan. I told Mark everything. He was just as pissed as I was. Dude, I can recover those messages, he said. Even if she deletes them, there are ways. That's all I needed to hear. How soon? Give me an hour. While I waited, I did some digging of my own. I checked our phone records. Sure enough, Abby had already texted Brad that morning. Twice. I had no idea what the messages said, but I knew one thing: she was lying through her teeth. Then, I remembered something. Abby had an old iPad she barely used. One that was still connected to her iCloud. My heart pounded as I powered it on, praying she hadn't disabled message syncing. And guess what? She hadn't. Right there on the screen were her texts. And when I saw what she had sent to Brad, I saw red. My hands shook as I scrolled through Abby's messages. I had expected flirtation, maybe some teasing. But what I found, it was so much worse. Her texts to Brad Talbot. Abby, last night was unforgettable. I still can't believe it happened. Face blowing a kiss. Brad, told you I'd make your dreams come true. You were amazing. Abby, wish I could see you again. Can we make it happen? Brad, I'll be back in town next weekend. Same place? Abby, yes. I'll make up an excuse for my husband. He's already suspicious. Smirking face. Brad, let me know when you're free. Can't wait to have you again. I felt physically sick. There it was in black and white. Proof that she hadn't just cheated, she was planning to do it again. I clenched my fists, breathing hard. This wasn't just some drunken mistake. She wanted this. She was choosing this. And she had the audacity to sit across from me this morning and lie to my face. I knew I could explode right then. I could text her, call her, confront her the second she walked through the door. But no. That wasn't enough. She needed to feel this the way I felt it. She needed to watch everything she built crumble around her, piece by piece. And so, I made a new plan. I took screenshots of the entire conversation, saved them to my phone, and backed them up to my email. Then, I picked up my phone and called a divorce lawyer. If Abby wanted to play dirty, she had no idea who she was messing with. I sat there, staring at the screenshots, my mind racing. 12 years. 12 years of marriage just thrown away like it was nothing. And for what? A one-night stand with some movie star who probably wouldn't even remember her name in a week. The rage in my chest was white hot, but I forced myself to calm down. I had to be smart about this. So, I started laying the groundwork. Step 1, the lawyer. I called up James Holloway, one of the best divorce attorneys in the city. He was expensive, but I didn't care. The second I told him about Abby's affair, he got straight to the point. John, do not confront her yet, he said. The moment she knows you're onto her, she'll start hiding assets, deleting evidence, maybe even flipping the story to make you the bad guy. That last part hit me hard. Abby was already a liar. If she felt cornered, what else was she capable of? I agreed to meet James in person the next day. Step 2. Securing the evidence. I backed up the messages to multiple places, my laptop, my email, a flash drive. I even printed out hard copies. There was no way she was going to gaslight her way out of this. But I wasn't done yet. I knew there had to be more. If she had been bold enough to text Brad like that, what were the chances that this was the only time she had cheated? I needed to dig deeper. Step 3, tracking her moves. Mark, my cybersecurity friend, came through big time. He helped me access some of Abby's old cloud backups. And what I found was even worse than I expected. There were deleted messages from months ago, with other men. Brad wasn't her first. Not even close. She had been doing this behind my back for years. One name popped up more than once, a guy named Evan S. I didn't recognize the name, but based on the texts they had met up multiple times. Abby had sent him pictures. And not the kind you'd want your wife sending another man. At that moment, something inside me snapped. This wasn't just one mistake. She had been lying to me for years. And now, she was about to pay for it. Finding Brad's texts was bad enough. But Evan S. That name was completely new to me. I scrolled through their old messages, heart pounding. This wasn't some flirty back and forth, this was a full-blown affair. There were months' worth of texts. Abby, I can't stop thinking about last night. I swear I'm addicted to you. Red heart. Evan, same baby. When can I see you again? Abby, John is out of town next weekend. Come over? Evan, count on it. Smirking face. I felt sick. This wasn't just one betrayal. It was a lifestyle. I scrolled further, trying to piece together how long this had been going on. A year. 2. Try 5. This had been happening for half of our marriage. And Evan wasn't even the only one. There were more deleted threads, conversations with men I didn't recognize. Some were short-lived, maybe just flings. But Evan? He was different. I needed to know who he was. Step 1. Finding Evan. It didn't take long. Mark, my cybersecurity guy, found him in under an hour. Evan was Evan Stokes, a personal trainer. The same personal trainer Abby had signed up with years ago when she got into fitness. It all clicked. The sudden gym obsession. The way she started going extra early before work. The random weekends where she insisted on self-care days and told me not to text her. It was him. I stared at his Instagram, my blood boiling. Ripped. Arrogant. One of those alpha male types who posts gym selfies with captions like, "Grind now, shine later." And this was the guy my wife was sneaking around with for years. I wasn't just mad anymore. I was out for revenge. Step 2, the perfect payback. I wasn't going to just leave. No, Abby was going to watch her entire world burn. I called my lawyer. "James, I want to go for everything." He chuckled. "That's what I like to hear." We started planning. White heavy checkmark freeze joint accounts before she could move money. White heavy checkmark gather all evidence of the affairs. White heavy checkmark set up the divorce papers so she got the absolute minimum. And then, I decided to hit her where it would hurt the most. I reached out to Brad Talbot's publicist. Because if Abby thought she was going to run off into the sunset with her celebrity lover, she had another thing coming. Abby thought she was living in some kind of fairy tale, sneaking around with a movie star juggling side pieces like some kind of femme fatale. She had no idea the storm that was about to hit her. After locking down my finances and getting my divorce strategy in place, I went after her biggest fantasy, Brad Talbot. Step 1, contacting Brad's team. I wasn't sure if this would work, but I had to try. I found the contact info for Brad's publicist, let's call her Lisa, and shot her a simple email. "Hi Lisa, I have some sensitive information regarding Brad Talbot's recent interactions with a married woman. I'd like to discuss this before it becomes public." Less than 2 hours later I got a response. "Lisa, what exactly are you referring to?" "Oh Lisa. Buckle up." I replied with screenshots, not just the texts but Abby's desperate messages practically begging to see him again. Within minutes my phone rang. "John." A professional but tense voice. "Speaking. This is Lisa. I need to confirm, are these real?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, they're real. And I've got plenty more if you need them." Lisa exhaled. "Listen, Brad can't be associated with this kind of scandal. He's got multiple projects lined up and an affair with a married woman, especially one who's openly talking about sneaking around, looks really bad for him." I smirked. Exactly what I was hoping for. "So," I said, "I just thought he should know what kind of person he's dealing with." Lisa went silent for a moment, then said, "I'll handle it." And just like that, Abby's fantasy world crumbled. Step 2, watching it unfold. That night, Abby was glued to her phone. I knew exactly why. Brad had ghosted her. No responses. No explanations. Nothing. She kept refreshing her messages, looking more frustrated by the second. Then finally she let out a loud sigh and mumbled, "What the hell? What's wrong?" I asked, acting clueless. She shook her head. "Nothing. Just, my friend isn't answering me." Oh, Abby. Still lying. Still pathetic. I just smiled. That sucks. Inside I was dying. Because I wasn't done yet. Next. It was time for Evan to feel the heat. Brad Talbot had ditched Abby like yesterday's trash, and she was losing her mind over it. But that was just the first step. Now, it was time to deal with Evan Stokes, the personal trainer who had been screwing my wife behind my back for years. Step 1, exposing him where it hurts. I did some digging and found out Evan wasn't just some random gym bro, he owned a high-end personal training business. He worked with influencers, wealthy clients, and even a few big-name athletes. His entire career was built on reputation. And now, I was about to shatter it. I put together a little package of evidence, screenshots of his messages with Abby, timestamps proving he was cheating with a married woman during his work hours, and even a couple of steamy pictures Abby had sent him. Then I sent it to White heavy checkmark his business Instagram, posing as a concerned client. White heavy checkmark his biggest sponsors. White heavy checkmark his gym partners. And for the final blow, I sent everything to his longtime girlfriend. Oh yeah, he had a serious girlfriend. Alicia. She was all over his Instagram posting cringy power couple gym pics, talking about how they were building a future together. And the whole time, he was screwing my wife. Well, I figured she deserved to know the truth. I crafted a polite, respectful message, attached all the evidence and hit send. Step 2. Watching him burn. It didn't take long. Within a few hours, Evan's business Instagram was flooded with comments calling him a cheater. Then, his gym dropped him. His sponsors pulled their deals. But the best part? His girlfriend went nuclear. She posted a scathing breakup post calling him out for cheating, tagging his business, his clients, and even Abby's personal Instagram. I couldn't have written a better revenge story if I tried. Step 3. The fallout at home. That evening, Abby came home looking stressed. She was on her phone, texting like crazy, pacing around the kitchen. "What's wrong?" I asked, pretending I didn't already know. She groaned. "Ugh, just drama with a friend." Liar. Then she mumbled, "People are saying the dumbest things online." I casually checked my phone. Evan's ex-girlfriend had tagged Abby in her revenge post. People were roasting her in the comments, calling her a homewrecker, a cheater, a liar. Abby had gone from sneaking around behind my back to getting exposed in front of everyone. I just sat back, sipped my beer, and watched her world fall apart. And the best part? I wasn't done yet. Abby was spiraling. I could see it all over her face. She was scrolling through her phone, her jaw clenched, her fingers typing furiously. Whatever illusion of control she thought she had, gone. Her movie star fling ghosted her. Her gym boy toy got exposed. And now, people were dragging her online. But here's the thing, she still had no idea that I was behind it all. I watched her pace around the kitchen, muttering under her breath. Then, she slammed her phone down on the counter and groaned. I took a sip of my beer. "Everything okay?" She shot me a look. "No. Some psycho is spreading lies about me." "Lies?" I almost laughed. "Oh," I said, pretending to be surprised. "What happened?" She huffed. "Evan's crazy ex-girlfriend is saying all this garbage online, acting like I had some big affair with him." I raised an eyebrow. "Didn't you?" Her face dropped. For the first time, she hesitated. She knew. She knew that I knew. Her mouth opened and closed like she was scrambling for a response. "John, it wasn't like that." I set my beer down. "Then how was it?" She blinked, her confidence crumbling. I don't know what you think you saw, but I swear it wasn't serious. Evan and I were just sleeping together for 5 years." I cut in. Her entire body stiffened. Her eyes went wide. I nodded slowly. "Yeah. I know." She froze. Like a deer in headlights. I could see her brain short-circuiting, trying to figure out how much I knew. So I leaned back and laid it all out. "I know about Evan. I know about Brad. I know about all the other men too, Abby." Silence. Then, in a small voice, "How?" I smirked. "Because you're not as smart as you think you are." She swallowed hard. "John, I held up a hand. "Stop." She shut her mouth. "I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear your lies. You've spent years making a fool out of me. But guess what?" I leaned forward. "Now it's your turn to be the fool." Her breath hitched. "What do you mean?" I smiled. "You'll see soon enough." And that's when I pulled out the divorce papers. I watched as the color drained from her face. She thought she was untouchable. She thought she could cheat, lie, and walk away clean. She thought I'd never find out. But now, she was watching her entire world collapse. Abby just stared at the divorce papers like they weren't real. Like if she blinked hard enough they'd just disappear. She looked up at me, her eyes wide. John, wait. Let's talk about this. I let out a cold laugh. Talk? Oh, now you want to talk. She reached for my hand but I pulled away. That hit her. She sucked in a shaky breath. I messed up. I know that. But can we think about this before making any big decisions? Big decisions? She had 5 years to think about her decisions. I just shook my head. I've already made up my mind, Abby. Her whole face collapsed. Her lip trembled. But I don't want to lose you. I raised an eyebrow. You didn't seem too worried about that when you were sneaking around with Evan. Or Brad. Or God knows who else. Tears welled up in her eyes. It wasn't like that, John. I cut her off. Oh, it was exactly like that. And now? You're going to live with the consequences. I could see panic setting in. She flipped through the divorce papers, her breathing getting faster. Wait, this says I get almost nothing. I shrugged. Yep. She froze. John, what did you do? I leaned back. Oh, you mean besides gathering proof of your affairs? Besides making sure I have control of our assets? Besides ruining your little side pieces? Her mouth hung open. She was speechless. So I twisted the knife. You see, Abby, I didn't just find out about this yesterday. I've known for a while. I've been planning. And now? I'm making sure you get exactly what you deserve. Her voice cracked. John, please. But I wasn't done. I picked up my phone, scrolled to a text and showed it to her. It was from her parents. We're disgusted. Don't bother calling us. Abby's breath hitched. You told them? I nodded. Oh yeah. And your friends. And your boss. Her whole body shook. My boss. I smiled. Well, I figured he should know that his hard-working employee has been sneaking around with clients during work hours. She let out a choked sob. Her career. Over. I stood up. Pack your things, Abby. I want you out by tomorrow. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing into her hands. But me. I felt nothing. Because for the first time in years, I was finally free. Abby was a wreck. She sat there, hunched over, sobbing into her hands like her entire world had just shattered. And in a way, it had. She had spent years sneaking around behind my back, treating me like a fool. And now, she was feeling what it was like to be on the other side. I didn't feel sorry for her. Not even a little. I just stood there, arms crossed. You should start packing. She looked up at me, mascara running down her face. John, please. Just give me a chance to fix this. I laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. Fix this? You didn't even admit you did anything wrong until I caught you. She wiped her face, her hands shaking. I swear I was going to end it. I cut her off. Don't. Just don't. She knew she had no defense. So she tried a different tactic. She reached for my hand, her eyes big and desperate. John, I still love you. I yanked my hand away. No, Abby. You love attention. You love the fantasy. And you love yourself. But me? I shook my head. You haven't loved me in a long time. Her face crumbled. She knew I was right. For a few seconds there was nothing but silence. Then she flipped. Her tears stopped. Her expression hardened. And suddenly she wasn't the guilty wife anymore, she was angry. You're seriously just throwing this all away? She snapped. 12 years of marriage just like that? I raised an eyebrow. Funny. I was about to ask you the same thing. She clenched her jaw. You don't have to be such a jerk about it. I chuckled. Oh, so now I'm the bad guy? She crossed her arms, glaring at me. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I leaned in, my voice deadly calm. I'm enjoying watching you face the consequences. She inhaled sharply, like the words had physically hurt her. Good. Because I meant every single one of them. She grabbed her phone off the table. Fine. If this is what you want, then I'll leave. I nodded. Good. The sooner the better. She turned toward the bedroom, but before she walked away she whispered, "You're going to regret this." I smirked. No, Abby. The only person with regrets here is you. She flinched. Then, without another word, she disappeared into the bedroom to pack her things. I exhaled, feeling the weight of years finally lifting off my shoulders. It was almost over. I was almost free. I sat on the couch, arms crossed, as I listened to Abby shuffling around the bedroom. Zippers, drawers slamming, muffled sniffles. She was packing her things in a hurry. Good. The sooner she was gone, the sooner I could finally breathe. 15 minutes later she walked out, dragging a suitcase behind her. Her face was pale, her eyes red and puffy from crying, but I didn't feel a shred of sympathy. She paused by the door, gripping the handle so tightly her knuckles turned white. So that's it. She whispered. 12 years and you don't even care? I stood up, staring her down. I cared for 12 years, Abby. You didn't. She flinched like I had slapped her. For a second I saw something real in her eyes. Regret. Guilt. Maybe even shame? But it didn't matter. It was too late. She swallowed hard. I never wanted it to end like this. I shrugged. Well, maybe you should have thought about that before you started sneaking around. Silence. Then, without another word, she opened the door and stepped outside. I followed her onto the porch, watching as she rolled her suitcase down the driveway. Her Uber was waiting. She hesitated before getting in, like she was expecting me to stop her. I didn't. I just stood there, arms crossed, waiting for her to finally leave. She bit her lip, eyes glistening. Goodbye, John. I nodded. Goodbye, Abby. And just like that, she got into the car and she was gone. I stood there for a while, staring at the empty driveway, feeling a strange mix of emotions. Relief. Freedom. But mostly, satisfaction. She had ruined us. She had betrayed me over and over again. And now, she was left with nothing. I turned around, walked back inside and closed the door. For the first time in years. I felt at peace. But there was still one last thing to do. The house was finally quiet. No more lies. No more fake smiles. No more late-night whispers on her phone. Abby was gone. But I wasn't done yet. There was one last move to make. Step 1, the final blow. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my messages and found what I was looking for. A text from Evan's ex, Alicia. She had sent it earlier, right after Abby left. Alicia, hey, just wanted to let you know. Abby reached out to Evan. She's begging him to talk to her. I smirked. Of course she was. She had nowhere else to go. Brad had ghosted her. Evan was a wreck. Her parents were disgusted. Her friends had turned on her. She had burned every single bridge. And now, she was desperate. Step 2, the closure I needed. I sent Abby one last text. Me, hope it was worth it. She saw it immediately. Typing then stopping. Typing then stopping. She had no excuse left to give. After a minute, she finally responded. Abby, I messed up. I know that. I hate myself for it. I stared at the screen, my emotions completely numb. Too late, Abby. Way too late. I didn't bother responding. I just blocked her. Then, for the first time in a long time, I let out a deep breath. I was free. Step 3, moving forward. A few weeks later, my divorce was finalized. Abby fought for more, but with all the proof I had, she didn't stand a chance. I got the house. I kept my money. She walked away with barely anything. Evan lost his business. His reputation was ruined. Brad Talbot? His publicist made sure his name never touched the scandal. Abby would never hear from him again. And me? I moved on. I got back in shape. I reconnected with old friends. I even started seeing someone new, someone who actually respects me. Abby. Last I heard, she was living in a tiny apartment, barely scraping by. I don't know if she ever truly regretted what she did. But I do know one thing. I never looked back. And that was the best revenge of all.
Bye.